我们下面一场演讲就要请到这个智慧医疗的专家台中荣总陈世安院长来跟我们分享一下智慧医疗目前发展的现况如何，以及未来又有什么样的展望。Ladies and gentlemen, next to take all of us on a deep dive into the current status and future development of smart healthcare, please join me in welcoming Shih-An Chen, Superintendent, Veterans General Hospital, Taichung. 我们掌声欢迎陈院长。
First of all, I want to thank the organizer for inviting me so that I have the opportunity to share with you the current future perspective of smart healthcare. Because we had some pre-meetings, so some of the slides might be repetitive. Please bear with me. Smart health has been developed in really fast speed, so many of you have put your efforts in this field, and we heard from Mr. Chang from Quanta Computer. I believe that many medical institutions and government agencies, people are gathering together, putting their efforts in developing this field. And from 2022 to 2030, this is the marketing research predicting the future. So if you look at the pie chart, this is the situation in North America, and the blue part is at the Europe and also Asia Pacific. You can see the proportion of these three areas: North America, Europe, and Asia Pacific. The proportion is similar. So we can see maybe one day Taiwan in Asia Pacific, and we can be the top 10% in the world, just like TSMC, the leader of semiconductor industry. Actually, the top 10 smart healthcare, if we see this slide, artificial intelligence stands at the top, and medical IoT, Internet of Medical Things, stands for the second place. And we see the ranking followed by telemedicine, big data, and analytics, and immersive technology. And Mr. Chang, in his slides, he mentioned the top four. And the last one, genomics, is the one that not many efforts have been put in, but AI is definitely required in developing genomics. So if you're more ambitious in developing genomics, and you can work on AI, and I'm sure you can have great advances, because this is just at the beginning. Globally, if we look at the IoT and the advancement of medical AI, everything started from 2015. And for our government, the Ministry of Science and Technology, our work started from 2017. You can see from the beginning, from the center, we have the space station, and on the left-hand side, we have our respiratory rate, pulse, fall detection, or our gait detection, and we also have a central node. And through the transmission at the core, and then transmitted to medical professionals, including general practitioner, specialist, nurse, and carer. So these are the medical professionals. So this is the concept of IoT in terms of medical care. So under this concept, we know that there are developments in different sensors, for example, for blood pressure and the information is transmitted through gateway and then transmitted to cloud or transmitted to portable devices. So this is the product-centric IoT platform. IoT is very important in health smart care. So in the past, we only focus on our own AI devices or the development of different sensors. But if we can integrate all different devices and to integrated medical IoT, this is an important concept for any medical institution. So I will share with you our structure. So for this slide, you can see from the bottom left, this is a deep learning DL. If there are more than 3 neuron network computing, if there are more than 3, this is considered as deep learning. If the computing is more complicated, and then we need more complicated neural network. So ordinary smart learning, it can be taken care of by smart learning. So you see there are different medical smart health devices, and they are closely related to deep learning and machine learning. And if we can integrate them, there will be AI plus IoT. So ideally, this is going to be the ideal smart care system. So this is the concept I would like to present to you. So with the development of smart care, what are the impact it can bring? I think there are 6 major areas. Number 1, chronic disease management, and also the self-management and the disease prevention. Thirdly, disease diagnosis done by medical professionals, and also diagnostic triage. So you can see smart healthcare. We really want to benefit our patients because there are a lot of the mobile devices or biocare devices. With these devices, patients can detect the changes of their physical conditions, so they can do something to prevent this disease from happening. So this is an important thing to prevent disease from happening. And these actions can be backed or supported by data. And so this is the slide used by one of the professor from the US. I saw this when I attended the conference in the US. You can see home care accounts for so the virtual care, actually, for example, telemedicine, and it only accounted for 4%. But our prediction for 2030, virtual care has been increased from 4% to 15%, and home care increased from 8% to 25%. And ambulant care is decreased from 32% to 25%. So smart healthcare, the development of it, no matter you use devices or AI support, and this is going to change the ecosystem of the of healthcare. And for patients, self-care, self-management, and the disease prevention done by patients themselves are important. And the smart healthcare is the approach we use to change the condition of healthcare. So we know for telemedicine, when it just got started, you see the patient is holding a device. It looks like a cell phone. Then they can transmit the vital signs, for example, heartbeat and lung sounds, and to transmit this information. and so that the transmitted to medical professionals, and diagnosis can be provided. So this is the information in 2019, and this is something that we're all familiar with, Apple Watch. This is a great breakthrough, and most important of that is the application of heartbeat. So the atrial some of the atrial fibrillation can be detected. So if there are irregular heartbeat, and the concern is that there are side effects from it, from that, and then maybe strokes might happen afterwards. And then maybe if there are atrial fibrillation, maybe patients with that condition, the possibility of them to have strokes is 5 times or 6 times more compared to healthy people. So if we can use this application to detect this condition, then we will be able to detect the abnormally. A lot of biosensors or devices. So medical lab on chip. This is a very important concept. In 2020, there are promotions on biomedical lab on chip already. I believe we will see the promotion in Taiwan very, very soon. And a lot of devices, for example, some of the devices can detect different physical conditions and oxygen concentration and the different information. If all the information can be integrated and being integrated into the chip, then this is going to help the patients, so the patients will know what kind of health issues they have. So we hope that there are different tools from AIoT and IoT, and if everything can be integrated into chip, and that can definitely benefit the patients. So wearables, you see the revenue share in Asia Pacific is 21.1%, and the number continues to grow. So this is the number from the U.S. in August 2022, and it resonates with the numbers I just showed you in the previous slide. So Asia Pacific is really competitive, and we can together work on it. And in my hospital, I can give you one example. 2 years ago, I joined a veteran hospital in Taichung, and before I joined the veteran hospital in Taichung, I worked in Taipei, and so veteran hospital, general hospital, won several awards, especially in digital transformation, and the award will look at different fields, for example, outpatient care, emergency care, and the administration or surgery care. So for when reviewing the digital development, you don't only look at AI development, but you also have to look at the management in different fields. So if a hospital is considered as a smart hospital, all different aspects need to be taken care of. So in my hospital, we take the bottom-up approach, so that we can have comprehensive services provided to our patients. And in recent years, people hear from us is that our system, we already established the system, and to extend the service to different branches around Taiwan. So you see our HEAS system, so it is called. And we have a smart medicine committee, and it covers different fields, for example, management and image, medical image, or nursing care. So this is very important if we can provide the tools that are helpful for the nurses and to take care of the patients, that will make their work easier and to decrease their workload. So in my hospital, we have done quite a lot of work in recent years, and we have done a good job, especially for people with kidney renal failures, and for example, patients when they're going to have a shock and when they're going to have kidney failure, or if the patients enter ICU when they're going to have different conditions. So we have a big database, and by using the database, and we work together with tech company and together with the academic institution, and we can optimize the AI program and to make more precise prediction. And in recent 2 years, we have also developed the telemedicine and being recognized, for example, by Discovery Channel. And that is why the Discovery Channel came to our hospital and to make this video. And we really appreciate Quanta Computer Company Incorporation. And so telemedicine center, we have this AIoT function. We can provide services to patients to monitor the vital signs of the patients, and also to combine with the HE system. For example, if the patients are being diagnosed using telemedicine, and that the patients need to be sent to the hospital, we will be able to know the condition of the patients and how much time before the patient arrives at the hospital. And we have this information, we will be able to prepare our emergency room, and we have patients collect the vital signs of the patients and have this information, updated information. And when the patient is in the ambulance, we will be able to know the condition of the patients, whether he or she is having any critical conditions. And together work with the Changhua Telecom with the 5G program. And we have a call center. We will be able to monitor the surgery conducted in other branches. If there are any difficulties, any challenges, condition happen in the branches, we will be able to we will be able to receive these information, and because of the 5G technology, we can receive the information in real time. So we really appreciate Quanta and also the help from many people in the high-tech industry, so that we can achieve AIoT, and it's not only a simple telemedicine diagnosis. So in our hospital, we are promoting a lot of different programs. We also have our own AI program and working together with other universities. And we also have 37 programs that is our own programs. And also there are a lot of programs we are working on. And we also have genome analysis, app, 5G, different dashboard. So we have this dashboard established more than 4 years, and this is a very powerful VI, and it played a very important role in managing the hospital. And we are also recognized by the Ministry of Science and Technology, and I am the leader of the program, and we invite 19 medical centers and to work on promoting the Taiwan Smart Medicine Alliance. So there are 14 programs working on different now we already have 5 AI programs, and now there are one of the program has been gaining the different credentials. So we do hope that working together with these 19 medical centers, we can promote our optimized AI to Taiwan and to the world. On top of national level program, we also participated in different trade show, and we went to Ronald Reagan Building and International Trade Center, and we have this exhibition to showcase our results. And in the exhibition, we also have our Premier Chen of Taiwan, and we can see we exchange our views with the officials from the Washington, D.C., so that they have a good understanding of the good results developed by our industry and by different institutions, so that they may decide to invest in the latest developments. It is important to connect to the global market, and with the help of Quanta, our hospital also participated in the MIT Alliance, and we are the only medical institutions from Taiwan in this alliance. So by working together with MIT, it also helped us planning many education programs. For example, last year we sent 16 medical professionals in the AI field, and so that they receive this 3-day training. And this year in May, we also participated in the MIT annual meeting. So by participating in these international events, we can further advance our AI development. And we are very honored that last year we were recognized as the top 300 best smart hospitals, and we are the only one in Taiwan being recognized. And I think now and in the future, and what should we do? What is the development we should have? I think in our hospital, we follow our national policies, and we work based on the latest trends and the principles around the world. And we are very honored that I am also the leader in the medical industry consulting committee. And very importantly, we have to have comprehensive ecosystem, and we want to establish health big data platform and cross-disciplinary innovation. And we want to strengthen our connection to the international world. And in 2022, and together, we at the end of 2022, we also made our strategy for 2023, and we want to established Biodesign Taiwan, and TFDA also is promoting decentralized clinical trial, and we want to make good use of medical wearables so that we can extend the clinical trials and to the contacts outside of the hospital. And we thank Taitra for their leadership, and so that we can work together to extend our application field. And for example, we heard that there are different alliances and providing different platforms, different opportunities for people to learn. And for international standards and the HEAS system, we also established that with the help from Ministry of Health and Welfare. And so these are the results we have achieved. So these are my final slides. So I have mentioned a lot, but what should we do for the future? I think for medical AI, it's not that it's something that we have to do for every hospital, but there is one thing that we should do, and I believe this is essential. And digital transformation is something that we have to do, and it includes a lot of the items, and AI is only one of them. And sometimes people do a lot of work in the area of AI, but what they do is just to publish some papers without actual actions. Smart AI is one part of smart medicine, but digital transformation is something that we have to do, and we need everyone's help in achieving that. We know this is something that we have to do, but if we see that you can't list your iPhone as your primary care physician. I think we have a lot of smart care devices. However, we need people to involve. We need physicians and to communicate with our patients. You can't. So medical devices cannot really replace people, because people have heart and people are warm. So the attitude is very important. 6 years ago, actually, Stanford University invited me every year and as a speaker. And when I first participated 6 years ago, I saw this: never stop growing. I think this is true for medical care industry and for biotech industry as well. And lastly, I want to thank all the research group and the Yangming Jiaotong University. I want to thank my students in Japan, in Southeast Asia, and also the National Health Research Institutes, and so that together we can make medical digital medicine better. Thank you.
Superintendent of Veterans General Hospital Taichung， 那就像是院长刚才所提到的，这个智慧医疗服务要能够完善的话呢，行动装置以及居家的检测技术也非常的关键哦。所以接下来呢，我们要请到下一个讲者来进一步的分享哦。Ladies and gentlemen, just like Dr. Chen just said, mobile devices and also home testing technologies also play a big part in smart healthcare. 接下来我们就有请这个台湾之光行动医疗领先大厂安盛生科的陈燕瑜董事长进一步的分享。Please welcome our next speaker, Carson Chen, Chairman, CEO, and Co-founder of iXensor. 掌声欢迎。
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Carson from iXensor. iXensor is a mobile health company that turns your smartphone into your health hub. Remember the last time you have your health checkup? You went to hospital, waited for 1 day, do all the checkups, and 2 weeks later, you receive your annual check report. And this year, you have your cholesterol increased by 20%. You have a few numbers in red. But that's it. Every year, you go to do a health checkup, you receive a new health report, but you end up doing not much. It's because the feedback cycle is too long. For you to understand how your behavior, how your diet affect this important bioparameter of you. And we believe it could be different in the near future. At iXensor, we believe through the technology, we could improve healthcare to make it more timely and more accessible. Personally, I have involved in telemedicine industry for more than 20 years. Back then, we don't have iXensor, and we don't even have iPhone. All I have is a personal digital assistant called iPad. And with this device, we developed the early stage remote monitoring system that can measure ECG, blood pressure, SpO2. But at the moment, we also understand the timing is not there yet. The regulatory reimbursement, the mobile device, the internet, and the overall infrastructure in hospital, that are not ready. So, since the conception of telemedicine, it has been more than 20 years. But not until the pandemic do people really use telemedicine. Prior to COVID-19, there's only 1 to 2% utilization of telemedicine because there's no clear reimbursement and a lot of restrictions. But COVID-19 has changed this and accelerated the digital transformation. A few months after the pandemic, the utilization of telemedicine has surged from 2% to more than 35%. And even after the situation gradually settled, we are still seeing a utilization rate of around 17%. Telehealth is here, and it's here to stay. In the past year, according to a recent report, more than 90% of Americans have actually used telehealth. And 90% of them feel the experience pleasing, and they are willing to continue to use that. Moreover, 90% of them will switch to a doctor if the doctor can also provide telehealth. So when they need, they can do telehealth at home, talk to their doctors. And if the doctors identify there are certain risks or certain diagnosis needed, they can further go to hospital to receive further treatment or diagnosis. And this is how COVID changed the telemedicine. But there's one critical thing that is missing. I would like to ask you, how many of you have done COVID test at home? I think most people have this experience in the past 2 years. It's unimaginable 3 years ago. If 3 years ago I ask you, can you do a nasal swab and mix with a buffer and apply the sample into a cassette, you would say no one, no companies can educate people to do that. But COVID virus did just that. And it inspires us to think, if we can do the nasal swab, do the COVID test at home, what else can we do? Can we measure our cholesterol? Can we check some cancer biomarker at home? If we can do that, it will make healthcare much more accessible and empower people who need healthcare to receive them timely. And this is exactly we see where the market is growing. Prior to the pandemic, the at-home testing market is about 10 billion. Mostly people with diabetes doing blood sugar testing at home. But after COVID, people start to test COVID and flu. In addition, sexually transmitted infectious disease and other more biomarkers. That's something we can do, especially after the pandemic. And this market is quickly growing. It's growing from 60 billion to, it's estimated to grow to 46 billion in merely 10 years. And for this to become a reality, it takes a lot of effort from different stakeholders. For diagnostic companies, big ones like Roche, Siemens, they used to dominate in the hospital and laboratory testing market. So every hospital you work in the basement, you can see that huge facility for that. But in terms of at-home testing, previously there are very limited effort in this area, except diabetes. But now the situation has changed. Earlier this year, Roche announced that they are working with a company, a Boston-based company called KGaA. They would like to provide at-home testing for heart failure for renal disease. As many of you might be aware, heart failure is a critical problem, especially in the United States. More than 6 million people have heart failure. More importantly, many of these patients, after they receive treatment and they go home, more than 30% of them will go back to hospital, re-hospitalized, which consumes a lot more resources, especially if the hospital cannot reduce the rehospitalization rate, they will further get punished from the reimbursement agencies. So they are looking for a way for their patient to stay at home, stay healthy, and cost-effectively. And at-home testing is definitely one of the top solutions for them. In addition, Roche, besides being a diagnostic company, is also a big pharma. It has some critical drugs for heart failure, for renal diseases. So it makes perfect sense for them to step in and to further explore and establish their at-home testing solution for heart failure and renal diseases. And Roche is not the only diagnostic company doing this. Another big diagnostic company, Becton Dickinson, also has its endeavor enter into at-home testing market. Prior to COVID-19, Becton Dickinson is one of the largest point-of-care rapid test analyzer companies in the world. It has deployed its point-of-care units in more than 40,000 hospitals and clinics. And it's also one of the earliest manufacturers of rapid tests. Back in 2020, August, it announced one of the earliest rapid tests with 85% sensitivity. At the time, it's a really remarkable achievement. But as we step further into the pandemic, the capacity in the hospital is not enough. People need to do testing by themselves at home. At that time, BD faces a situation that they wouldn't be able to overcome with their existing solution. Instead of deploying 40,000 units, they probably have to deal with 40 million potential customers. But they simply don't have the devices they need to place in users' home. So they work with a US startup, Scanwell. Scanwell utilizing smartphone camera to take pictures of test strips. So they work together using BD's test strip along with Scanwell's smartphone-based imaging system, and they get US FDA EUA approval. This enables BD to further into the at-home testing market. And after the pandemic, we believe more of these kind of tests can be done on this platform. And payers plays another critical role. If no one is paying for at-home testing, then it won't be adopted in a large scale. And we are seeing the reshaping of insurance payment for this kind of at-home testing. Since 3 years ago, a few companies have started to work with insurance companies and try to prove the value of at-home testing in certain areas. One of the most noteworthy area is kidney disease. Because in the United States, in Taiwan, it's a leading cause for healthcare system. For every patient that requires hemodialysis, it costs $70,000 per year for the healthcare system. And each patient might continue to receive dialysis for 15 years, which equals 1 million burden to the healthcare system. If they can identify the potential patient earlier, they will be able to step in and potentially prevent the end-stage renal disease to happen. And less valuable to patients, less valuable to the insurance companies. And what can they do to do this? A test called ACR, albumin creatinine ratio, is exactly the testing they need to do. If they can do this annually, they can screen out the patient early, so doctors can intervene. However, less than 30% of people are actually adherents to this annual screening. So the result is 9 out of 10 CKD patients, they are not even aware of they are having this disease. Earlier last year, U.S. insurance company Cigna and Blue Cross start to work with startups, Health.io in Israel, to provide at-home testing solution to their members. In the pilot of Cigna's trial, it shows that 26% of those at high-risk diabetes patients, they never go through testing. When they use this test, they feel the convenience of at-home testing. And 1/3 of them actually being screened to be abnormal situation with kidney disease. And previously, NHS in UK also conduct a large-scale test. More than 140,000 patients are enrolled. Among them, 50% of them do the test. And it proved that it's an effective way to screen out those patients with CKD, and each patient screened can lead to a saving of 2,000 pounds. That's a significant saving for insurance company, and it's definitely a driving force for insurance company to adopt this kind of at-home testing solution. Regarding adopting innovation, big pharmas are also piloting with at-home testing, especially starting from some critical disease like cardiovascular disease. For example, cardiovascular disease could lead to heart attack and stroke, cause 1 out of 4 deaths in UK. And it's estimated there are more than 3.5 million patients with ASCVD in the UK. Starting last year, Novartis and NHS started a large-scale pilot study. Novartis recently received regulatory approval for its latest lipid-lowering drug, Liquifil, which is a long-term drug, so you don't have to take medicine daily. Instead, you receive a shot, and it's supposed to remain effective for 6 months. However, right now, there's no large-scale understanding about how long will it affect last, and how will it affect safety efficacy in the larger population. So this study is a 3-year, 300,000 patient study. For them to use a drug alone, they also piloting at-home lipid testing. So those patients at home, after they receive the drugs, they can continue to monitor lab lipid. In case there is any situation, they will be able to understand their health and ask for doctor's help if needed. This is so far the largest scale of pharmacy companies working with insurance company and testing company to conduct this kind of study. And we look forward to the outcomes of this study and hope this can further impact and bring more at-home testing to the market. And in the past few years, we have seen quite a few technology that facilitate at-home testing, like new blood sampling technology. But if we want to name a technology that caught everybody's eyeballs in the past 3 months, I would say artificial intelligence. A few months ago, people might say, AI is not reliable. Today, still many people say that. But gradually, we see an improving outcomes. 3 months ago, we can say it's not reliable because the GPT-3 only scored it's only better than 10% of the physician doctors. However, in the recent update with GPT-4, it performs better than 90% of human physicians. It's really a remarkable achievement considering it only takes a few months for it to grow to this stage. But we are under the impression it's machine. It has no humanity. It doesn't have empathy. It's true, because in the end, it's machine. It doesn't have humanity. However, it could still deliver the sense of empathy to people who receive feedback. This is from the latest report that's conducted in UCSD. Dr. Eric Topo pointed out that not just because of the quality it delivers, but also, surprisingly, it provides an empathy response to patients who ask for help. In this study, more than 580 consultation sessions has been conducted. After receiving the question, it was routed either to a real physician and AI chatbot. And the result was scored by 3 physicians and is blinded and randomized. Surprisingly, in general, we see that AI performs much better than human physician. On average, the human physician receive 3.5 scores, and the machine scores more than 4. But what really surprising is this. This is the empathy ratings. The scoring of physician being empathy is only 2. Most of them are rated as not empathic or a little bit empathic. In contrast, the AI chatbot, the result is empathetic or very empathetic. It's counterintuition, but this is the result from this study. If you think it further, it actually makes sense, because most physicians are actually too busy. So when they are asked a question, they will just respond to it shortly, say, okay, you're fine. But ChatGPT, it will say, I'm sorry to hear that. I would suggest you blah, blah, blah. With this nature of AI, it could express more empathy toward people who seek help. So this is a book from Dr. Eric Topo, Deep Medicine. And he says how AI is going to make healthcare human again. This is a pretty interesting topic, and I would recommend you to read it. And at iXensor, what we want to do is to empower people to do the test when they need it. if they need to know their health information, they don't have to go to hospital, wait for 1 day or even 2 weeks to receive a report. They can know their own health, cholesterol, hormone level, whenever, wherever. And this kind of instant checkup also allow them to receive timely care from their care team. And perhaps in the future, augmented with AI to provide a more comprehensive and empathetic response. And OE Tech is a device like this one. This is our secret sauce of turning your smartphone into your personal mobile lab to understand your health. Biotech platform is the magic behind the scene. We are leveraging the smartphone camera as an accurate and scientific optical reader for test strips. Moreover, in contrast to other companies that use smartphone to just take a picture of strips, we are using this smart mobile scanner that will direct the light from smartphone screen to the test strip. And it also isolates ambient light. So no matter you are in office, you are outside, you always get the same accurate results. And by leveraging optical strip technology, which is already mature, we can quickly expand our testing product portfolio and keep it cost-effective and convenient. Since we founded it back in 2012, we have established solid IP foundation. Today, we have more than 80 patents across the globe, especially focused on using smartphone camera to get the accurate result for healthcare. And when we first have this idea, one of the questions most people ask is, you are using smartphone, what does FDA think? Can you get regulatory approval? I would say we do spend some time to get the answer. In 2017, we got FDA approval for our blood glucose testing using smartphone camera. That's 2 years after we start our first discussion with FDA, because they have never seen this before. We show them the clinical study to say this is comparable to the glucose meter of Roche. The evidence says that. And after 2 years of discussion, we finally got this US FDA approval. And today, this is still the first US FDA approved smartphone camera birth testing. And from there, we start to expand. It's the same technology that can be applied to different applications. After we first developed our solution for diabetes care, we then continues to provide cardiovascular testing. So cholesterol, triglyceride, HDL, LDL, HbA1c, you can all do the testing on this device. In addition, for women's health, we provide hormone testing, especially for fertility. As many of you might know, Taiwan has one of the world's lowest birth rate, and we are trying to contribute to that to improve the situation with our smartphone technology. And in addition, in the past 3 years, we also built our product portfolio for infectious disease, aiming at COVID-19. In the peak of the pandemic in Australia, we help the mining companies to do digital management. So it's not just the COVID testing, but also how to manage every single test result, so the company can manage who has been tested negative and they are safe to re-enter their workplace. We are seeing the potential of not just doing a single test, but the potential of utilizing the digitization and management. We can make healthcare different. Here are some more details about our current disease management. This is PISO test POCT. We call it's the lab on your palm. We receive CE and FDA for our A1C testing and CE for lipid. With this device, we work with Merck in Germany to bring this device to a rural area in Kenya. In Kenya, not many doctors have the large instrument they need for do the testing. So they used to send the blood sample to large hospital for further analysis. But with this at hand, they can go visit their patients, do the test on the spot. And if the result is abnormal, they can make a decision right away. And right now, in more than 1,000 pharmacy stores in Italy, their client can just walk in and say, I want to have an express health checkup. They don't have to have their blood draw. They just easily prick their finger. 3 minutes later, they got the result sent to their smartphone, which has their health dashboard showing their HbA1c, their lipid level, their triglyceride. And it's also very affordable. They only have to pay about $10 to $15 for them to get the test done. And in the past few years, we also received quite a few interests in lipid drug companies because they believe there are a lot of people they actually need treatment, but most of them might stay unscreened. So with this initiative, they could sponsor those people to come to pharmacy stores to do the test in a convenient way. So most of them, if they need treatment, then they can know that and receive treatment early. And this is our women's health offering, Yvie. It is an ovulation test and a pregnancy kit, which we get CE mark and FDA. Utilizing our proprietary algorithm, the user, once they do the urine test and put it in front of the camera, they could get the result right away. And it can learn the user's unique pattern, so every cycle they use that, it keeps getting smarter and smarter. And this one has been sold on Amazon and in US largest pharmacy chains. And in Vietnam, we work with our partners to help more than 20,000 try to conceive couples get their dream come true. This also illustrates the power of kinetic health. The patient themselves can do the test, and with the smartphone connected to their consultant, they receive timely care and improve the success rate. And today we also have our Vietnam partner TMC, I think here, and they are the real hero that make this happen. And in the past few years, we have expanded globally through our strategic partners. In Japan, we work with Roto, which is Japan's market leader, which has more than 70% market share of ovulation test. Because every market is different, so we work with our strategic partner to accelerate regulatory approval and also mass market access. And also, last year, we worked with another company, Innovate, which is the world's largest rapid COVID antigen test manufacturer. After the pandemic, they would like to expand further to other areas like chronic disease, women's health, and we work together to launch their flagship women's health product. Besides Roto and Innovate, we also work with Merck, Johnson & Johnson, Plug and Play, and other stakeholders to bring innovation global-wide. Going forward, we are bringing to market iXensor's next-generation testing solution, which is a tiny and accessible testing at home. So on the left-hand side, this is our PISO Test Mobile, which will allow people to monitor their hormone health, kidney health with a very affordable solution. And on the right-hand side, that small device is inspired by our customer. Because when they visit our Italy pharmacy partner, they say, can I buy this one at home? Is it affordable? The POCT solution is still priced for professionals, but this one is less than $150, and everyone can have it at home. So whenever you want to test your cholesterol, you want to test other cardiovascular biomarkers, you can do that at home. And we are also foreseeing the future augmented with AI. So this solution not just do the testing, but can also synchronize the data to the smartphone. And with smartphone, you can have your dedicated AI health coach to explain to you what does your lipid level mean, what you can do to improve your health. And in the future, it might also further connect with doctors' care teams, so people can receive care in a tiny and more accessible manner. To summarize, we are seeing a rising trend of decentralized testing. Regulatory-wise, reimbursement-wise, we are seeing an accelerated transformation after COVID. With the first FDA clear smartphone technology, we believe we can do more, especially with the help of our strategic partners. And with Taiwan's solid foundation in ICT, we believe together we can contribute to the new era of healthcare. iXensor, we want to empower you to do your health selfie whenever, wherever. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Carson from iXensor. 非常谢谢安盛的陈董事长，非常精彩的分享啊 Thank you so much. All right, so there are so many new technologies, so many innovative services happening in the world right now. So what does the future of healthcare look like? How do we reimagine the future of healthcare? To answer this very big and rather challenging question, I would like to invite our next speaker, Dr. Stephen Johnston, Vice President and Head of Technology Transformation and Enablement in the Electronics Business Unit, and Vice President and Head of Technology Scouting and Ecosystem Enablement in the Corporate Science and Technology Organization from Merck. 接下来呢，我们有请默克集团科学以及技术副总裁来跟我们分享一下未来一线的走向。Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Stephen Johnston. 掌声欢迎。
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for that kind introduction. And I also wanted to just pause at the beginning of my talk here and thank the conference organizing committee. I've been on enough organizing committees for various events around the world. I know how much time and effort is required to pull off an event like this. So thank you so much for gathering everyone here together to exchange knowledge and information going forward. So I've been on vacation for about the past 10 days or so with my family. And I have two young boys, a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old. So they were asking me, Daddy, what are you working on? They were seeing me work on my computer, trying to say, okay, what is it that you're working on? Why are you stopping in Taiwan on the way back home? So I tried to explain to them the concepts that we'll be talking about today in language that a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old could understand. And I can say at the end of trying to explain that, their eyes were just wide open. They were amazed at what the future could look like. And so I'm hoping that as I end my time with you today here in 30 minutes, that you'll at least be 50% or even 10% as excited as they were in terms of what the future can hold for all of us, for how healthcare is going to look like going forward. So to take a step back, I'll give a couple of slides on who Merck is. What's Merck all about? I actually did not know this before joining Merck a couple of years ago. I joined in 2021 to kind of head up a bioconvergence effort that we'll talk about. But Merck has a over 350-year company history, starting back in a small pharmacy in Darmstadt, Germany, just outside of Frankfurt. And over time, the company has grown to be the company that we are today, roughly 22 billion euros in revenue, 2.5 billion in R&D spending per year, and a world leader in healthcare, in life science, and in electronics. And we've grown organically, for sure, as well as some very large inorganic acquisitions. But starting from a very humble pharmacy in Germany to be the global player that we are today. Now, I can't say that our presence in Taiwan goes back 354 years, but I can say it does go back almost 35 years. And you can see some of the details of our footprint here in Taiwan on this page, where we have 11 locations located throughout the country, about 1,100 employees, and a major presence that covers life science, healthcare, and certainly electronics, playing off of the strength that Taiwan has for electronics. So a very large footprint around the world, and that's replicated here in Taiwan as well. So how have we grown over the course of 350 plus years, surviving major wars that happened throughout Europe, surviving other tensions that we've all had to deal with in our lives and our parents' lives and grandparents' lives? To me, the key, the nucleus of this is that science is really in the heart of everything that we do. The whole notion of being curious about what the future can hold for us. To not just being stuck with what we do today and how we do it today, but what the future can look like going forward for all of us. How do we make society a better place going forward compared to where we're at today? And so I mentioned we're composed of three high-tech business sectors that are all participating in very attractive markets. On the left-hand side, you can see healthcare. And this is probably what Merck is best known for in terms of specialty pharma markets that we participate and lead in. We're a very large player in the life sciences space, and this has grown considerably over the past decade, 15 years or so, with some major acquisitions with Millipore, Sigma Aldrich, and companies like that. And a growing focus of the company, roughly 20% of the revenue today, is in electronics. And we're one of the largest players in the materials segment, material suppliers for the electronics industry, including obviously a number of the chip makers that are based here in Taiwan. But to me, the real interest for my personal perspective isn't one segment or another, one of our business sectors or another. Each of those are going to continue to grow. But the real opportunity, the real unique point that Merck has is having all three of these quite diverse technology business sectors within one corporate umbrella. And this plays exactly to where I think the hockey puck is going. So if you go back to what Wayne Gretzky used to say for when he was playing hockey, it's don't skate to where the hockey puck is today, skate to where it's going. And I think that having these three business sectors combined together under one corporate umbrella is really where the sweet spot of where things are going forward. And we'll talk about that over the course of the next few minutes. So bioconvergence, what is it? Honestly, I think it can mean a million things to a million different people. At a high level, I would describe it as the convergence of digital and scientific innovation to advance the understanding of human biology that's going to enable a future that's going to be much more personalized in the medical outcomes. It's going to enable a future where technologies and opportunities that we have previously thought didn't exist or couldn't exist are going to enable, be enabled for healthcare going forward. Think back 20 years ago. Who had really used GPS at the time? Who had really used connectivity around the world in the palm of your hand at the time? But now we take those technologies for granted. And I think the exact same thing is going to play out over this decade and the next decade with bioconvergence and the future of how we all live, work, age, and interact is going to be fundamentally different by looking at things not just from a healthcare lens, not just from a life science lens, not just from an electronics lens, but combining these different disciplines together to really reimagine what the future is going to be. And I'll give you a few examples as we go through today's talk. So let's look at the human body. It's roughly 1.5 gigabytes of human genetic code within each of us. There's about 15 trillion body cells with DNA within each of us. Multiply that out, and you have a human body that's about 23 zettabytes of DNA data. Huge amount of data that's inside of us. Let's compare that. The human body, 23 zettabytes, versus the data global, the global data sphere by 2025 is projected to be roughly 175 zettabytes. So within just 8 of us sitting in this room, there's more data than all the videos, all the selfies, all the text messages, all the IoT devices, all the data that we're generating as a society today. But the question is, how do we take advantage of that? That's great that the data is inside of us, but if we keep it essentially inside of us, so we don't have access to it, if we don't connect it together, then it's data. It's not necessarily information. How can we access this and really use it to reshape what healthcare is going to look like going forward? Part of the answer to this, I believe, is shown on the left-hand side, where the cost implosion, the reduction of cost over time driven by semiconductor technologies, electronics technologies. So if you were to look at it, the cost of a megabyte of data storage back in 1956, about $85,000 for that 1 megabyte. No one can afford that, essentially. Today, you can see it's a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a cent. And this declining cost curve has really driven the data explosion that's shown on the right-hand side, where we've seen this kickoff, particularly starting about now, and projected to be very, very significant a decade out going forward, where the data that's going to be generated, the data that's going to be accessed, is going to be enormous compared to even what we have at our fingertips today. So what does this mean from a market perspective? What does this mean from a business perspective? Well, let's look at the adoption rate of new technologies based upon this data implosion, the data explosion, this cost implosion. And you can see for various technologies that are shown here, whether it's WhatsApp on the right-hand side or ultimately the ChatGPT, the market adoption rate has significantly shrunk from time to time. And this is being driven by a cost reduction. So more people can access the technologies at a more cost-effective manner. And it's allowing researchers, it's allowing companies to then combine these data streams together to be able to come up with products that otherwise would not be feasible in the past. But healthcare is in kind of a unique or special situation. So if you would have asked me, where does most of this data come from? I would have actually said it would be smart manufacturing. We talk about 100 billion, 150 billion Internet of Things devices. Manufacturing, combining data streams from different pieces of equipment, different quality control systems, and things like that. But it's actually not in the manufacturing space. And it certainly is not in the what's labeled as the media and entertainment space, which is the smartphones, right? It's the videos, it's the TikToks and the other sorts of data content creation vehicles that we have, that we all use today in our daily lives and our social lives. Healthcare actually has the highest compound annual growth rate going forward, which ties back to that question of having so much data inside of our bodies and being able, the need to be able to extract that information and make that data and make information from it going forward. So it's growing at a much faster rate than some of these adjacent industries. And we have this unique opportunity now as costs have come down for data analysis and data creation to be able to say, okay, how can we disrupt the healthcare industry going forward, just like smartphones, just like Wi-Fi, just like GPS has disrupted other established industries in the past. And we can see here one of the limitations of why this is needed. So let's look at our current medicine. You know, it really is a one treatment fits all type of an approach, where you have this population of individuals, a therapy is generated to treat a given disease for those population of individuals. And for some, there'll be a very positive effect. For others, it'll be a no effect. And unfortunately, for a small portion of those, it could actually be a negative effect. And so you can see on the right-hand side, the share of patients for which a certain drug, a certain treatment is ineffective by the therapy class. And for cancer, it's upwards of 75%. So how do we change that game? How do we make these drugs be more effective for patient classes? How do we have a more inclusive approach to this so it addresses different types of people? I'm certainly different than you versus people that are out in the hallway versus people on the street. We come different hereditary actions. We eat different foods. Our environmental exposures are different. So how do we customize drug development and drug treatments going forward? And the real question that I have in my mind, and what excites me, what motivated me to join Merck a couple of years ago, is this question of evolution versus revolution. And on the evolution side, for electronics, there's the traditional Moore's law that's been a very predictable, very useful cadence that the semiconductor industry, the electronics industry, has driven for decades now. I would argue that for bioconvergence, it's more in the revolutionary phase. It's going to make us look 10 years from now, look back and say, life it's like that inflection point when GPS was introduced to us, or when smartphones and connectivity associated with smartphones were introduced to us. So I want to lay out a vision over the time that I have left for what this revolutionary healthcare environment can look like going forward. So I mentioned bioconvergence in the past, or a few slides ago. This notion of converging digital and scientific innovations going forward. And within Merck, we have activities that are happening within each of these three spheres that is shown on this slide. So on the left side is more in the electronics space, disruptive compute, neuromorphic computing, quantum computing. How do we get more effective, whether it's performance or power management on the compute side? On the green part is the production and the development of new treatments and applications. We have activities in certainly the digital health space, bioelectronics, being able to treat diseases using electronics as opposed to traditional pharma, drug-based approaches. mRNA, my guess is most of the world had never heard of mRNA 3 years ago. I know my parents even know what mRNA is at a very high level today, given the COVID pandemic. And then cultured meat, of how do we get more sustainable from a food source perspective going forward. And the bottom is various other R&D enabling technologies, whether it be smart manufacturing that I was talking about before, AI for drug discovery, which we'll talk about in a little bit coming pages, and then the personalization of medicine that we'll also talk about. But the sweet spot going forward is the convergence of these. It's these intersection points between one category, one segment, and the other. And to approach these, it's going to require looking at these problems not just from a healthcare lens. not just from a electronics or a life science lens, but it's going to require these disciplines coming together. I believe that's the only way that's going to be able to ultimately realize this vision of what bioconvergence can look like in the future going forward. To me, this is again, one of those inflection point technologies that that's going to fundamentally reshape what society is going to look like going forward. So this whole notion of personalization of medicine, tailored to each of our particular molecular signatures, and the connection of all of those data points from each of you, from me, from everyone else in the world, to this, to be able to combine data sets together, to be able to have insights that a human simply looking at a very large data pool would not be able to find those connections. That's where the future is going to hold for each of us. That's what excites me about what the future of healthcare is really going to look like. So as we look at the benefits of personalized medicine, it's really delivering better treatments, better outcomes for our patients. So improved efficacy, improved overall survival rates, and reduction of adverse events. And I showed on one of the previous slides that this one size fits all, this one treatment fits all approach, while it's worked in the past and it's worked even today, it's not, I don't think anyone would argue that it's optimized, that it's the best that we can do. Personalized medicine is also going to deliver benefits to the healthcare systems and the ecosystem overall in terms of prevention and prediction of drugs or of diseases, improved patient management, cost reductions, delay reductions, so a more efficient healthcare system that we'll have going forward. And then certainly more efficient development of novel medicines. I'll give a case study in a page or two, but we have tremendous opportunities for more effective and efficient clinical trials, for moving from start to finish in a much more efficient manner going forward, more ethical trials, more inclusive trials going forward, and a cost reduction associated with that as well. So let's do a little bit of a deep dive on drug development and what that can look like today and what I believe it can look like going forward in the future. So if we look at drug development today, it gets us to where we're at, I would say. We're looking at, from an end-to-end process, roughly speaking, a 4, 5, 10% max success rate. Depends upon the particular disease that we're looking to treat. It takes, from start to finish, ballpark 12 years, from concept through getting a drug out onto the market. And about $2.5 billion US per attempt. So think about those numbers. Sub 10% success rate, 12 years to get to a drug to the market, and $2.5 billion per attempt. We've got to change this game. We can't continue to approach the problem statement the same way that we are today. And so we need to reduce the timelines, increase our hit rates, have a more accessible approach, more targeted, more efficient and effective approach going forward. So the how of today. Well, we start with the initial idea, finding a hit or a lead synthesis for a drug-like compound, moving into the testing space, initial testing, initial generation. We tested on animals. I don't know about you, but I think my physiology, my metabolism is a little bit different than a rat. So it's not necessarily a great translation vehicle today. Then we move, for those who successfully move through the animal space, we move into patients. And we do drug trials, and then hopefully at the end of this pipeline, we get to the approval stage. And a small percentage, as I was showing before. So where is the need? Well, there was an academic paper published a couple of years ago trying to quantify the potential savings for looking at a 20% reduction in speed, so moving from 12 years and 20% improvement for that, a 20% improvement in quality, so efficacy of the drug, the probability the drug works for humans, or a 20% reduction in cost of the overall process. And you can see by far and away, the quality, the efficacy, the probability that the drug works for the intended outcome is the driver in terms of financial value return for companies and then ultimately for healthcare systems and for patients. So the question is then, how can we have a more predictable, how can we have a more targeted outcome of our drug discovery process so that we can go from idea from the left-hand side to approval, the right-hand side, in a much more efficient manner. So the future, the how of the future, what can it look like? There's initial studies, initial investigations that are happening today for AI for drug discovery. So how can we move past what an individual researcher may be able to know in their mind, to be able to come up with in terms of ideas, and use the power of compute, this massive engine of compute that we've been able to develop over the past decades. These data sets that we may, we have in individual databases, individual computers, so to speak. How can we take advantage of some of these magnificent compute tools that we have available to us, and as opposed to looking at hundreds of potential drug candidates, we can look in silico, in theory, using compute at thousands in parallel. Then how can we test those in an animal-free environment, in a model system that mimics our bodies more than what the animals do today? This obviously has great sustainability implications in terms of reduction and hopefully in the future elimination of animal testing. But also it has a more applicable result for the drugs being tested for the results that would be realized for humans. And then ultimately combining different data sources together. Merck's a huge company, but we're only one of many in this space. So how can we combine data streams in a safe and secure manner going forward to be able to combine insights together? And so as we look at design, make, test, and analyze, the combination of these powered by AI is really going to be able to drive the ecosystem further and faster than where it can possibly be today. I'll mention that even this morning, for one of these that are shown on the right-hand side, the 3D bioprinting organoid models, there's a concept called organ on a chip. So how can we combine semiconductor technologies and human-derived organs, samples, human-derived cell lines, to have a testing vehicle that's on a chip? And Merck and a local startup called Pythia had a MOU collaboration signing ceremony earlier today, where this is one of those technologies that can truly disrupt what this future is going to look like for healthcare. So the future is now. This convergence of AI and automation, it's starting. It's in the early stages, but it's starting. And it is going to transform, it is going to accelerate what innovative drug discovery is going to look like going forward. So I'll spend a couple of minutes on a concept called Centropy. It's a program that is intended to really bridge this question of how do we create a step change in how research is done, how information is shared across the research space. So no one company holds all the information. It's impossible to do so. So how do we combine these data streams, but to do so in a interoperable way in a way that's safe and secure, and that the owners of that data do not lose control of that data. There's real value in data, and so the idea that we're just going to combine data streams together and companies or research institutes lose access or lose control of that data is not practical. And so Merck has partnered with a company called Palantir. Many of you have probably heard about it, heard about them, to combine these different data streams together. And so Merck's bringing its deep industry knowledge of the pharma industry, Palantir for data analytics and security expertise, to where we're able to use the Palantir platform, combining with Merck's data sets, as well as other companies' data sets. And so researchers across the globe can have access to data that's not necessarily generated by them, but the owners of that data, the original owners of the data, don't lose control of the data. So Centropy is an opportunity to unlock the power of data, even if it's not your own. Imagine to be able to create data streams from, build out a network of hospitals around the world to where data can be combined together. Researchers can have access to that data, to that data set, and to be able to target what their use will be for it. And so Centropy really is this collaboration between healthcare systems, biotech collaborators, public NGOs, and internal pharma companies like Merck to collaborate together, harmonizing the data sets, having it cloud-based, there's defined governance and analysis capabilities associated with it, in a secure, transparent, and lineage-based infrastructure. For the sake of time, I'm going to jump to my final topic. We all talk about technology a lot, and technology is fascinating to me as an engineer and a scientist. But we have this responsibility, maybe this potentially bigger responsibility than just technology advancement in and of itself, and that's acting responsibly. We have these tremendous tools at our fingertips, whether it's ChatGPT or other sorts of AI-related capabilities. But we need to be able to be making sound, ethical decisions as we're going through this process as well. And this is something that I think Merck is a leader in. In combining the bioethics that's been there for many years, genomic editing, fertility treatments, health indicators, stem cell research, clinical trials, and all the ethics associated with the bioethics portions. But this new phase that we're moving into, this digital phase that we're moving into, that's more algorithmic based. So how do we ensure that AI is fair? How do we ensure that AI is inclusive? How do we ensure that AI algorithms as they're being developed are for the greater good? How do we ensure that the data is secure? How do we ensure that data is able to drive decision making? So the digital ethics portions of things is also critically important for us, and it's an area where Merck actually invests quite a bit of time and effort in. And I think this is as we look at any technology inflection points like bioconvergence and other sorts of things, doing so not just in a technically advanced way, but in a bioethics, digital ethics focused way as well is critically important. So ultimately, bioconvergence is going to be this multidisciplinary competency approach that's going to require technologies, researchers, scientists from across the spectrum, whether it be in the digital side or the science side, to come together to make this be a reality. I'm convinced that we can do this. I'm convinced that it's going to change the world. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, we're going to look back and see this as one of those inflection points that truly changed society and changed society for the good. It's going to be enabled by personalized medicine, digital twins, aggregated, secure, insightful databases being combined together, and human applicable preclinical testing, i.e. organ on chips, organoid type technologies. The future is ours. I hope that you'll join us in making this become a reality. It's going to require much more than what Merck can do just by itself. But tapping into the academic, the startup, the large companies, governments, it's going to require a combined effort to make this be a reality, but we will make it. And I think this is going to power Merck and the rest of the industry for the foreseeable future to come. So thank you for your time here today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stephen Johnston from Merck. 非常谢谢默克集团的专家，非常精彩的分享啊 ！Thank you so much. All right, for the next two talks, we're going to have a look at how to enable and how to accelerate the development of healthcare services through the lens of startups and innovators. 那接下来我们两场的演讲呢，要比较从这个创新的角度出发来看这个一件的服务如何持续的这个演化以及进展哦。那么首先呢，要有请美国高通公司戴玉文业务开发总监，那同时呢，也是高通台湾创新竞赛的计划负责人。Let's firstly welcome Yvie Tai, Director of Business Development at Qualcomm and Program Manager of Qualcomm Innovate in Taiwan Challenge QITC to the stage. 让我们掌声欢迎总监。
大家好，我是 Yvie。非常
Hello, my name is Yvie. It's a great honor to be here to talk to all of you, and thank you for letting me sit on the stage. Because I was in surgery last week, so I'm still in recovery, so I have to sit for this talk. My brother is a doctor, so for the past month, and I've been to in the hospital for two times. So I actually saw how busy and tired these medical personnel are, and I see they face all kinds of different kind of challenges, and they have to comfort the patients and the family, and have to tolerate their emotions. So I kind of reflect upon this. What can we do to improve the condition? So I wanted to be here today because I would love to talk to all of you from different industries and areas and fields and see what you think. So I work at Qualcomm, and I am the Business Development Director. So I also participate in Innovate in Taiwan Challenge. So QITC, we support these new startups and help them reach out to the world. Now, Qualcomm is in smart connected processing for the intelligent edge. So we provide the technology to connect to the internet. And we are a 35-year-old company. So throughout the 35 years, Qualcomm supports innovation and aims to drive breakthroughs for more advanced technology. So in R&D, we have invested $80 billion US dollars. And we have over 14,000 patents all over the world. So aside from 2G, 3G, and 4G generation technology, and we have all kinds of innovative technology, and we really strive to make breakthroughs in the industry. As 5G, fifth generation, comes to the market, from 3G to 4G, you can see as it develops, we comes to people communicating with other people through audio files. And then So it enables people to communicate with other people and other things. So 5G is a new smart computing era. So I know some of you are from the medical background. Let me talk about 5G and 4G. Now 5G is a great elevate in performance, in bandwidth and efficiency. So it can actually support a lot of innovative technology and application. And it also actually bridges the gap between cloud and edge. So as to the capability and efficiency has all seen a great improvement, and the cost is lowered as well. So 5G will be able to provide the new AI generation with the bandwidth and technology for these new devices. And because of these characters, so AI is moving to the edge with 5G. It is more flexible because 5G has a lot of traffic capacity, and it can be applied to many kind of aspects and different ends. We will see a lot more innovative approaches. So we have a connected, intelligent age. It's a new era. So 5G plus AI powers all industries, including smart manufacturing and, of course, smart health. So today we're going to talk about smart health. So if we take a look at it with the 5G technology, what can 5G do for smart health? From our observation, in the past few years, due to COVID-19, a lot of the medical staffs are facing a lot of workload, we face a lot of shortage, they face high risks. They're exposed to the pandemic constantly and continuously. And then, of course, patient care after they return home is also a problem. And the monitoring, so remote monitoring demands have actually escalated. So this is all for the sustainability of digital health. So for the first responders, they can arrive at the scene sooner and help people better. With the 5G technology, they can see all the stats, and then they can talk to consultants and doctors so as to provide better help. As in the ER, or ICU, also need this monitoring system, because through 5G technology, you can actually allow others to participate remotely in the treatment and rescue or surgery. So the doctors will be able to actually give instructions to the caretakers remotely and allow these doctors as medical staffs to predict or prevent these emergency circumstances and help to solve the problem before it actually has a serious impact. As for remote patient follow-up, a lot of patients, they are not acute patients. So once they return home, it is really crucial how they take care of themselves. So with some smart devices, just like QT Medical, how can they may be able to provide some of the statistics once the patient returns home. So through AI, through IoT, they will be able to provide these medical staffs some of the chances to give instructions. as patients stay at home. So Qualcomm has always understood the importance of innovation and cross-industry collaboration. We have ambition, we have determination, we have a dream. So with 5G technology, we may be able to push for breakthroughs and cross-industry collaborations to provide better solution, technology, and device. So I think it is a very important technology. So I do believe we have some project that to collaborate with startups around the world. 2019 in Taiwan, we have a QITC as support to the startups. Now, let me introduce some of the programs we do with startups. So, though it's a challenge, it's actually an incubation base. So we would choose some of the teams and provide them with resources and technical support. Now we will talk to them about their product and services and platforms that they need, and that we may work with them and help them with their innovation. We also provide IT awareness training because we want them to protect their own innovation with patent. We also provide business coaching and mentorship programs so they'll be able to actually develop a better business model and achieve better success. And of course, we also offer financial grants. So once they enter the finals, they will have a $10,000 cash prize. And then the final winner will win a $300,000 cash prize. And we will teach them how to actually file for patent to protect their own innovation. And of course, next is to help them reach out and help find collaborators worldwide. So about the highlight, we have one-to-one incubation support to accelerate growth. And then we provide them AI programs and IP awareness programs. And in Kaohsiung and Taiwan, in Taipei and Kaohsiung, we have innovation centers. Now, this is the incubation center. So some of the startups, they can come into our laboratories to work with our team for trials and errors and technological support. Then we also take them to exhibitions or events, and this will help these startups to reach out to other partners in other fields in different countries. From 2019 to 2023, we have actually supported 49 startups. These 49 startups, you can see, they are from many different industries. You can see there is a healthcare. There are 10 startups in the healthcare industry. We are quite surprised by the ratio because, as we've mentioned before, we have initiated the project in many different countries. So these startups, many are from healthcare industry. And then they challenge the health insurance structure with the talents and other technological advancement. And I think that's a great way to go. As within the 49 startups, 6 of them have actually joined Qualcomm Advantage Network. And they will be able to collaborate with our global partners. And when they were in the incubation period, if they file for a patent, we also give them a cash prize or cash incentive. So according to our estimation, after these startups graduate from our innovative plan, they still file for patents. more than 100 patents has been filed and passed throughout the years. So we have supported this is the video of one of the startups that we've supported. And they take pride in the digital stethoscope.
嗨，大家好，我是玉信医疗的渊人，我在公司担任资讯长的职务。那我们的产品主要是一个 AI 人工呼吸监测仪，叫做 AirMo， 以及我们的抗噪电子听诊器 iXensor AS101。其实我跟另外一位 founder 许富顺医师，他本身是一位重症医师。那我自己呢，原本在中人院以及荣总做生物资讯啊，还有神经科学相关领域的研究。在科技部 LEAP 计划的支持下，其实我们造访了北美的湾区，还有德州很多的新创公司。那我们发现，其实台湾有很多的机会，在医疗以及科技两个领域的碰撞之下，我们觉得像玉信这样子的公司，可以 saving life through innovation， 可以有更多的机会去拯救，不管是在医院或是在手术房里面的病人。玉信医疗在2018年成立的最开始呢，我们想要做一个贴得上去、听得清楚的听诊器。一般来说，呼吸系统的监测，其实医师以往都是有使用听诊器，而呼吸的监测，其实不管是有没有 COVID 的时候，都需要很长期的去持续的关注病人的呼吸，一些早期的症状才有及时的去处理跟处置的机会。以我们做出来的 iXensor AS101 电子听诊器，它最大的特征，它就是使用了像是现在抗噪耳机一般的对环境音进行抗噪，所以即便是像我这样子贴在喉咙，旁边有人在讲话，或是外部有任何的声音，都可以在呼吸频谱上清楚地看到一根一根的呼吸柱，而且没有任何外界杂音的干扰。就算是有人在旁边讲话，甚至是在牙科台上钻牙的声音，都不会被录进去。有这样子高品质的资料之后，我们就把这个资料收集起来，透过临床主治医师、呼吸治疗师一笔一笔的进行标记。截至目前为止，我们有120万笔的标记，也因此我们做了一个 deep learning 的 model， 放在像是 Android， 就是这种Snapdragon 855以上的手机里面，做一个所谓的床边呼吸监测仪。我们玉信医疗其实是一个以 saving life through innovation 作为quote 的公司。我们公司里面有很多不同领域的专长，像是主治医师、资料科学家、软体工程师、硬体工程师，大家一起来服务病人，而且带给病人一个新科技去照顾病人。
好，那其实他们在 QITC 期间呢
They use the Qualcomm-based Snapdragon and device to actually support their respiratory device, and through 5G technology, they are able to actually notify the doctors of emergencies. We have 10 startups. I may not have time to talk about all of them. They are all part of our group, and if you come to our booth, we'll talk about their innovative devices and solutions. So we have uploaded all the films of our startups onto the internet. So if you're interested, please scan the QR code and watch the videos while you have time. So health startups, they need clinical trials and testing. So if you are interested in collaborating with health startups, we are happy to pair you up and to actually allow you to support your work together for innovative technology. So Qualcomm, we have been working with the startups, and we can see how brave they are, how bold they are. You know, building a business is never easy. So whether it's research or developing or market expansion, we're happy to provide them with resources and technology so that they can grow. If you're interested in our plan in our Innovate Challenge. We have some activities. We can invite you to come and take a look. And through projects like this, we want to facilitate cross-industry collaborations. Thank you.
戴玉文业务开发总监，同时呢也是高通台湾创新竞赛计划负责人。Thank you so much to Yvie for your very informative talk. Thank you so much. 那接下来呢，没错，接着我们就邀请到美商与新生医哦，来跟大家谈谈居家预防医学服务。Next, to talk about how to bring preventive medicine into our home, please welcome our next speaker from QT Medical, Peter Zhang, General Manager and CFO of QT. 我们掌声欢迎美商与新生医的张瑞忠总经理。
大家好，谢谢。
Hello, everyone. I want to thank the organizer for inviting me. The topic today is starting with the heart, leading preventive medicine into our home. I want to echo with Yvie, and we are the startups from Qualcomm. So if you are a member of the startup, I think Qualcomm will be your best choice of incubator. So from this topic, there are two major points I would like to discuss. Number one, why does preventive medicine need to go into home, and why do we have to start with heart? Okay, let's start with the first topic. So for medical care, it started from home initially, no matter it's in the Western world or in the Oriental society. In ancient world, there were hospitals, but the nature of the hospitals were more like a care home or a charity institutions. The institutions in the past did not provide treatments. The better treatment was provided at home, starting from 19th century because of the development of anesthetics. So the surgery and development has become a lot better, and that is why, and at hospitals or a treatment can be better conducted at hospitals. And here you can see the number of wards starting from 1970s. So the number of wards were more than the number of population growth. So this photo was taken in Manchester in the UK in 1914. And in the 1970s, the medical expenses accounted for 77% GDP in the US, and now it's about 18% now. And during the COVID, it was almost 20%. And because of the rapid growth of the medical expenses, so there were high demand of how we can reduce medical expenses. And most of the expenses come from hospitals, accounts for 31%. So there is a strong need to bring this medical care back to home and reduce medical expenses. So let's look at this pie chart. So there are some of the treatment. It's more like an outpatient surgery conducted in the hospital, and the patients can be discharged from the hospital. And we can see no matter it's spine surgery, knee surgery, and a lot of the surgeries actually can be conducted at hospitals, and the patients do not have to be hospitalized. And if we look at this diagram on the left-hand side, inpatient versus outpatient visits. Now, starting from 2005, actually the number of hospitalized patients reduced because of the hospital expenses. And on the right-hand side, you can see the changes of numbers in inpatient and outpatient surgery. So starting from 2010, we see a lot of trends which are promoting the home-based medical care. And we also heard from Dr. Chang from Quanta
And we started to see some of the new trends, ABCD trends. And the strongest motivation behind it is to control the cost of medical care. So this is the hospital-centered treatment. And now the trend is to put patient at the center. And it started with virtual care, virtual visit. And gradually, it became remote patient monitoring. So patients are at home and their vitals information can be collected. And to do that, we will need new medical devices and new technologies to detect and to collect information. So remote patient monitoring is becoming more and more common in the U.S. And CNS in the U.S. Has provided reimbursement for that, and the reimbursement amount is higher than the simple online interview, and they are also for COPD and heart pneumonia and other surgeries. So remote medical monitoring now has been reimbursed, and the CP code is the payment healthcare code. So this is some of the devices. For example, the devices to detect your blood sugar, a lipid, or your heartbeat, or to measure your temperature. And we also have our product here. And at the early days, we only have simple device to have to collect the CV information. But now, because we have more comprehensive products, we can collect better information, and which includes the devices from our company. So this is the point of care devices. For example, the portable ultrasound. So these are the very good point of care devices. And about the RPM monitoring care. So there are a lot of different business models have appeared, which provide RPM services. So this is one example. The doctors would visit patients at home. So this is one type of RPM. We also have the dispatch help. So nurses visit patients at home. And the MedArrive is another form of medical care provided. For emergency medical technicians can also provide home visit services. And for patient-centered care, starting from telemedicine, RPM, and now we have the new concept of hospital at home. So patients can receive treatment at home. So it's not the same as telemedicine. It's just make the patient feel that they are hospitalized, but the hospital it's an inpatient care model, but at home. And doctors will provide a home visit daily, and a lot of modern technologies are used to monitor the patient's conditions. And in the hospitals, maybe in the morning there are VSR or P, and the professor level of doctors will lead a number of students, will visit the patients. But at home, for this type of a service, doctors will also visit the patients. And in the past, most of the resources are restricted to hospitals. So if you want to achieve hospital at home, you will need a lot of logistics support to be able to achieve hospital at home. And so for acute care and hospital care at home, the reimbursement has been provided by the U.S. government, and many hospitals have participated in this kind of program, and we can see a lot of examples here. Mount Sinai, Columbia, Presbyterian, and Duke Health, etc. We know that many hospitals in Taiwan, we also provide the similar services, and we believe that this hospital at home system in the U.S., we believe that this service can be introduced in Taiwan. I know many of the doctors I know, they learned this system at Harvard Hospital. And for the diseases being treated in this model, we can see there are a few, for example, pneumonia, etc. And in the U.S., there are also some researches done in the U.S. So this is a with high satisfaction, low cost, and lower readmission and the better outcomes. And no compromise in patient safety. So this is Massachusetts General Hospital at Home program. This is Mayo Clinic program. This is Johns Hopkins. This is the example from Medically Home Hospital at Home program. So these are examples, and many of them are our customers. And next, I would like to ask the question, why home care starts with the heart? Why do we start with heart? Number one, cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer worldwide. Every year, 18.6 million people died because of cardiovascular disease. And according to WHO, and it accounts for 32% of the total deaths. And in the U.S., about 5.5 million people strike by SCA, and 80% of the patients suffer from that, happen at home, and only 10 of them survived. So that is why we why the home care starts with at the home, because 80% of the SCA happen at home. But the good news is that 80% cases are preventable. So we devoted in this area, and we hope that we can contribute the preventive medicine. And let's look at why home care starts with the heart. Because the heart health is closely related to the health of many organs. Most of the organs within our body needs the blood provided by pumped by the heart. So a lot of chronic diseases are closely related to the health of a heart. So if your heart is not healthy, and it will affect other organs. We see some of the diseases are chronic, and some of the diseases are acute, and some of the diseases are serious, but you won't die immediately. For example, cancer or diabetes. And some of the diseases, they are acute, but they are not. They will not kill people right away. For example, acute stomach disease, and for chronic heart disease, for example, it can be critical, but they're chronic. But for heart, it can be acute and it can be chronic, and it can take people's life right away or gradually. So that is why we have to start by heart. So and also, it's very costly disease. The medical expenses by heart is the highest among other diseases, and that is why we wanted to start by heart. In the U.S., and there are 6 million chronic heart disease patients, and 1 in 4 patients, after they are discharged from hospital, 1 in 4 patients, they will have to go back to the hospital within 1 month. And other reasons are because if we look at 5 vital signs, 3 are directly from the heart, including heart rate, blood pressure, and oxygen saturation. And 2 are closely related to the heart, including respiratory rate and temperature. So all the vital signs are directly or indirectly related to hearts. And we also realized that hearts are delivering health messages. If we monitor the heart, we are monitoring the overall health of a human body. And the ECG is a non-invasive approach to detect the health condition of a human body. So if we want to have successful preventive medicine, the best way is to start with the heart. And that there are for example, arrhythmias, and we can detect the rhythm, we can monitor the rhythm, and there are benefits of it. And many surgeries, and sometimes the patients are hospitalized, and 2 or 3 days before they are hospitalized just to do some tests. So if they can monitor these different vital signs at home, and that they only have to be hospitalized at the day of the surgery, it will be better for the patients, and that it can reduce medical expenses. And for chronic heart failure, it's easy for the patients to develop edema at the lung for patients. So ECG can also monitor the condition of lung edema so that we can provide better care for chronic heart failure patients. And CAD is another example because some patients will suffer from chest pain, but sometimes the pain is not that obvious. Some of the diabetes patients, and they feel the pain chest, but maybe they feel the pain constantly. So if they feel the chest pain because of CAD, they didn't feel it. So by monitoring the CAD, we can reduce the recurrent rate. And there are other structural diseases, for example, valve diseases, long QT, Brugada syndrome, or hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, and or Takotsubo. And some call them broken heart syndrome. Some emotional impact, for example, if you lost close family members, and it's possible for the patients to have this heartbroken disease, and this can be monitored at home. And in the past, we didn't really have the 12-lead ECG in the past, but for 12-lead ECG is something necessary. And traditionally, for a 12-lead ECG is a big device like this. And how can we bring this device home? This is our product. We make the 12-lead ECG to the size of a palm, and it's a comprehensive system to monitor your heart, including the patch, and including the hardware and software and the AI analysis, and that can be the information can be transmitted to the cloud. And because this device is portable, and that you can bring it from hospital to home, and to anywhere you go, and use it at any time. And we already sell the products around the world, and we also can apply this technology in the plane, and in clinical trials, in prisons, and the telemedicine, or we can use it to for the healthcare health check for athletes, for example. So this technology has wide applications in various locations. So for our products, most of the products are sold to the U.S., although a lot of the products are used in Taiwan medical institutions as well, and Johns Hopkins, Cleveland, and so these medical centers are our clients. And in Taiwan, National Taiwan University Hospital, Changkeng, or Qimei, and Tzu Chi hospitals. These medical centers, we already established collaboration with them, and in prisons, 40,000 inmates are using in California are using our products to monitor their heart. And MedAir is also our product, and for fire department, many fire departments in Taiwan are also our customers. And because this is the product is hospital grade, most people cannot afford it. So most time, we send the products to patients' home and for single use. And if the doctor needs the patients to monitor their heart condition by 12 lead ECG, we send the product home so the patients can use it once to collect the information. And so this is the MedAir I just mentioned to you. There was one case. There was one flight from Paris, and because of one patient had a heart condition in the plane, and his life was saved because of our product. And so there are other applications, for example, on the ambulance. We also see the applications in ambulances and in other big events. For example, in Taiwan, we have this program activity happen every year. A lot of people are following the statue of a goddess, and in the process, some people happen to have heart diseases, so they can use this product to monitor their health conditions. And we also work together with medical centers in Taiwan and in the U.S. as well. And especially for children, we can use this device and to monitor the health condition of children, and in remote areas as well. And for example, in Caribbean, there are more than 100 islands around that area, and half of the islands already have the presence of our ECG. The traditional ECG is very good device, and actually it only takes 10 seconds to collect the information. And so if you want to so this is a very good device. It doesn't really take a lot of time, 10 seconds, and you can use this high level device to monitor the heart condition. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Peter from the QT Medical. 好，那我们今天下午呢，已经听了这个6场的演讲哦，从智慧医疗、居家检测到刚才的预防医学哦。那最后这一段呢，我们的焦点对谈要邀请到刚才的高通以及雨欣呢，的2位讲者再次回到舞台上哦，进一步的来跟我们谈如何跨界结盟，进一步的让我们的这个智慧医疗以及照护的服务能够进一步的升级。Thank you so much. And now we move on to the final panel discussion of the day. And we're going to talk about how people from different sectors can work together to take healthcare to the next level. 让我们有请主持人以及2位讲师。首先，主持人是数位时代王志仁总编辑，我们掌声欢迎。We have John Wang, Editor-in-Chief of Business Next, as our moderator, and two of our previous speakers. 有请美国高通戴玉文业务开发总监。We have Yvie Tai from Qualcomm and Peter from QT Medical， 以及雨欣生医的张瑞宗总经理。好，那接下来时间交给总编辑。
好，谢谢。各位现场。
Okay, good afternoon. This is our last panel. We are going to talk about innovative digital health startups. We talked about medical startups as COVID-19 hit, we suffered economic crisis. A lot of countries and businesses have suffered gravely. But now the economy is actually recovering a little bit. So to prevent congestions and double bookings on the supply chain, just like Jason Huang said last week, there's good news. As innovative startups and in VC and investment, last year we have actually slowed down a little. And as Business Next, we have done a survey and we have 3 conclusions. So local startups, they have like lower customer demand, and it's not easier for them to raise funds. But in CVC and VC, a lot of investors would love to invest in digital health or healthcare. So we do believe this is an industry with great prospect and potential. So this is actually a survey that's targeting startups and the ecology. So I would like to ask our panelists, this year, in the medical startups, they usually have cross-sector or cross-industry collaborations with other businesses or companies, and that includes other medical startups or businesses in other industries. So what are the challenges that are faced? Okay, last week I was talking to one of the teams with digital smart team, and I said to them then next year, we're going to recruit more startups because digital health is something that has a great impact in our life, be it in VC or other sectors. I think the advantage of the startups in Taiwan is that startups in Taiwan, they have a great grasp on these new technology. They can adapt these technologies very quickly and then found their niche and found a solution to their challenge. Aside from that, I think Taiwan can have the ability to incorporate hardware and software. And we have these software AI companies, and they are able to incorporate their technology and service with other businesses and provide them on a platform. Because, hardware is a medium for you to provide services. And I do believe the strength of the startups in Taiwan is that they can use these devices, these hardwares, to provide great solution. And I do believe that there are great talents in the industry, and the government has also offered support. A lot of businesses have already initiated collaborative plans in Taiwan. So I do believe this is a great timing for startups. I'm happy to be part of it, and I hope I'll be able to see more amazing projects. So this is the 5th year. We have our finalists coming in at the moment. And then at the end of the year, we will have our final competition, and then we will have an award ceremony. So I do believe that, according to you, the startups in Taiwan are very flexible and are ready to respond very quickly and adapt to the environment, right? Good. Okay, I would like to ask Peter. in QD medical and when in the medical industry when they need to integrate and onto with a platform. So from your perspective, these startups, what are their traits? What are their challenges? Or including maybe the challenges that you've faced along the way? I've been involved in many startup projects, and I've also collaborated with Qualcomm, so I have a understanding of the way startups work. Well, from my experience, our company is medical electronics supplier, so you need a medical background, you need a knowledge in engineering and electrics. So I do believe that the talent in engineering or electronics are top of the line. And I don't think we have faced a lot of challenge within the cross-sector collaborations. I think the only challenge comes from the domestic market. It is a very small domestic market, and we need to reach out and expand our base. So the medical centers in Taiwan understand the situation. So they wanted to actually start a business, but the thing is, the market's so small, they were not able to keep the business afloat. So I do believe we must reach out and enter the American market because it's a really huge market. However, it's a very competitive market, and the Taiwanese companies, because they're startups, they are not well-known companies, and medical industry is a very traditional industry. They often refuse to try new things because otherwise, they may be sued if one of the instruments or technologies break down. So if you want to enter the market, if you want a piece of the market share, you must really you must really have a lot of resources as backup. And these resources, or your bullets, or funds, so to speak, for the startups, will allow you to survive for a longer period of time until you succeed. So I think the startup in Taiwan, they are clever and they are very experienced, but their investors would actually give them a lot of pressure. So when the investor evaluate their investment, these startups must fight for these funds and fight for exposure. So even though the investors are interested in a certain project, it is not for sure that they will invest their capitals into the startup. So the development of the medical machineries, health machineries, they often fail because it is really a challenge to actually get a piece of market share. So I think that is one of the challenges that actually bothered me the most. It is not like playing It's not like once we enter a market, we have all the resources and we can just join the competition and go head on, dive in. No, it is like it's a blank field, and you don't have a lot of resources. you have very limited resources actually, and your opponent has a lot of resources. So you have to actually fight the fight with very limited resources so as to continue to compete in the field. So for the investor, because they are quite reserved when it comes to medical industry, so if they don't give you enough resources or enough funds after the original capitals are depleted, you are set for failure. So I think that is actually one of the predicaments that we have to, try to get out of. So it's trying, to find your way out with whatever it is that you have on your hand. So I know, for Finland and Israel, they may have even smaller capital. But Taiwan is like, you actually look for the markets abroad in day 2 or day 3 of the development stage. So I think it's quite different the way they approach this market. So who will be paying the bills in the next stage? The insurance company or, the investors? So you must fight and struggle and push your way through. Just like you mentioned, the United States, the market, it's huge but very competitive. So what's your experience in the fight? Yes, of course, because the regulations are quite strict, so we must pass FDA certification. And I have to say, they are really strict, and we had like 6 meetings with them before we were able to, we found the pathway to actually push off product forward. So we must find our way through the certification. So once we pass the FDA certification, we still have to actually expose ourselves more to the customers. So we found a professor at UCLA, and he's very familiar with the market, and he has his own network. So through his understanding, we got in touch some of the medical research centers and institutes. But, when it comes down to what's important is that you must have quality product. So we actually compare with the high-end Philips ECG machines, and to prove that we are of the same quality. And as the report was issued, so we attracted attention to our products. So the market gradually opens after that. So if you don't have a unique product, you're just a me-too product, even if, you have a quality product that's similar to the Philips product, you will still not be able to have a share of the market. You must have your unique quality. You must have an advantage. You must have something that makes you stand out. In the initial stage, even if we give them free samples, they would not trust us at all. But right now, our product sells for like a few $1,000s. And the customers in America are now, they trust our product now. So it's not the actually how much you sell them for. It is about getting the customers to trust you.
So this is a process.
like GE and Philip. For example, GE is a company that lasts for more than 100 years, and Merck, just like we heard from the speaker, it has the history of 350, and it certainly doesn't stand at the same ground as the startups. And one question for Yvie and startups. And in the past 4 years, I believe, just like you said, you already helped 10 startups. And so what is your comment on the trend of startup development and for the past 4 years? And what is your expectation for new startups you're supporting for the following years to come? Oh, great work. Thank you for working very hard. So in the past 3 years, we have experienced COVID-19, and we experienced that how we can reduce the contagious risk for medical professionals, and how we could use limited medical resources to take care of maximum patients possible. So for demands like this, is growing, and it will never be the same after the pandemic. So we can never go back to the time before pandemic. The demand is growing, and there is no way back. So we talked about the telemedicine and the home care trend. Certainly, the demand is growing for these fields. And with this trend, how do Taiwanese startups be agile and find feasible solutions and find your customers will buy in your ideas? This is very important. I would like to echo what Peter has shared regarding the challenges we have, especially for enterprises. For a tech company like this, we have good knowledge of technology, but we do not have the knowledge of different industry. For example, the supply chain or medical certification process. So by working together with the startups, we can also grow our knowledge and to find new business opportunities in different fields. So by working together with the startups, we think that this is an effective way to provide new opportunities in different industry. So I would like to call on the different enterprises be open-minded, because for investing on startups are actually providing good opportunities for yourself. Yes, for startups in the past, maybe, and they started from an incubator, and now the startups nowadays, this is another way for startups. They can they can receive the support from big corporations. So because for big corporations, they can provide more resources, and this is different from individual VC or angel investors. Another question for Peter. In the past few years, there are new technologies being merged. For example, AI, generative AI. And if we look at from the application side, a lot of things are not driven by technology alone anymore, but by applications. And for financial industry, for example, there are looking at scenarios. In what kind of scenarios, what kind of technology is needed. So this is similar to the medical field as well. Maybe some of the applications are required on ambulances, in planes, for example. So if we call it like scenario medicine, the development of these scenarios
or the results of these scenarios? How do you develop these scenarios? How do you find the possible scenarios? So we were lucky, actually. Yvie is one of the important person in our development, and Dr. Chang from Quanta is also playing an important role in our development. Quanta is a major shareholder of our company. How do we find these application scenarios? Actually, a lot of things just happened by chance. We work together with Stanford Hospital is because once a professor from Stanford University, they wanted to have an application, innovative device, and they couldn't find the suitable device. And it just happened that they found our device suitable for their program. So we collaborated with each other and created this scenario applications. At the beginning, when we wanted to develop this product, we were expecting that the product can be portable and it can be used in different locations, at home and in different places. But how do we use the products is actually depending on the users. For example, the iOS platform. And once the iOS platform is established, a lot of applications were established on this platform. So we actually received the ideas from doctors and medical professionals in the medical field. They have a lot of ideas. They want to be innovative, so they come to us. Just like when I was pitching the ideas, our heart is closely related to the health of our organs. Recently, I know a doctor who is an expert in kidney, and some of his dialysis patients and the internal balance sometimes will have problems. So the patients will have some problems during the dialysis process. And so by using our products, we can monitor the patient's condition, so to ensure the safety in the dialysis process. So a lot of times we have to be ready first. Once we have our products ready, we have good platform, good products, then we will be able to seize the opportunities when they come. What about Yvie? What is your comment? During the development process, what is your observation? Well, when we were working together with a lot of startups in Taiwan, a lot of times I would like to remind them that customers buy benefits, not buy features, because a lot of startups, they sometimes will indulge themselves in the technologies they developed, but they forget to think about the benefits they can bring to their clients. But for the startups we work together, I like to remind them that at the beginning, at the designing stage of their products, they have to always keep in mind what kind of benefits they can bring to the customers and what contribution or what benefits, what kind of needs they can satisfy in the market. They do not indulge yourself in just looking at the technologies you have developed, but look at the problems you can resolve with your technologies and with your products. And so if you are designing your products with this idea in mind, just like Peter said, there will be more and more customers come to you because you are providing benefits to them. Yes. For medical startups, we did not really have long history, but we already see some good startups, and they have good performances in different applications. So if we look at the experience we had at ICT industry development or semiconductor industry, actually the industrial cluster is an important advantage we have. However, in the medical field, if we want to develop the ecosystem,
by a few medical companies working together or other way they can collaborate. How can we do it? Is it possible that we can have a few unicorns? If we can do that, will that be beneficial for the development of the entire ecosystem? If there is one unicorn company, where is that? I do hope that we can be the unicorn. And in the capital market, we definitely, with startups, we do need the support from capital market. So for venture capitals or investors, for example, and when they are evaluating whether they want to invest you or not, they already have a market cap in mind where this startup can reach the market cap. And I think now the evaluation result is simply not good enough. And in the U.S., one healthcare company branch out from GE, and the market cap is about $337 billion US. And another company has only one single product, and now their market cap is about $3 billion US. Now in Taiwan, many medical device companies, they have many product lines. They also have factories, but their market cap is only maybe 100 million or 200 million US or less. So if you do not reach certain scale, you will not be able to attract investment from these venture capitals. I do hope that we can be the unicorn company, but if you focus only in the Taiwanese market, that will not be enough. You have to go international, and there are a lot of obstacles. In the U.S., for example, if you want to go into the U.S. market, there will be a lot of competitors, but you have to overcome all the challenges so that you can gain more resources. Our founder is of Taiwanese in the U.S. So we are closely connected to Taiwan, and we are enjoying the resources from Taiwan, including the supply chain, including the talents from Taiwan, and also the support from the government agencies. We also gain the support from multiple resources from different government agencies. We see that the government is actually doing a lot of work in this regard. I think that maybe there are things that will just take some time to see the results. It just takes time. I do hope that we can be better, more successful, so that we can serve as a model and to provide some suggestions to other startups and to lead the development of medical device industry. So from individual companies, maybe some startups, they started from scratch, and so for these companies being listed in the Taiwanese companies, are there any other suggestions you have for these startups? Actually, just like Superintendent Chen mentioned, that there are a lot of different scenarios in the hospital. So if we do have the opportunity to provide user cases or the scenarios for these startups to verify their products, it will be helpful. And just like Yvie mentioned, that your observation is that we need to I think the ecosystem is very important, because for one person can walk very fast, but for a group of people, we can walk for a longer distance. And for me, I do hope that we can see some companies, some of our alumni, they are working together, and we also invite some of the alumni to come back and share their experiences. I think the startups in Taiwan, they are willing to collaborate, but everybody is busy in their own field, and how you can really think outside of the box and to think about the possibility of cross enterprise collaboration. This is not something easy to do. And I would like to share with you that because everybody is busy with our own businesses and we don't have the opportunity to explore the opportunities in other fields.
So it's like fighting a battle. But through working with startups, we can solve a lot of problems, smooth out the procedure. So if we have more and more partners who are willing to take part in this ecosystem, that we can work together to see what the startups can bring you. So I think it is a great opportunity because you can support each other. So I think startups, medical startups in Taiwan has a lot of potential and opportunity. So this is actually a field that is quite professional. It requires a lot of know-how. So if you lower the threshold, when you have cross-sector collaboration, you will definitely have more business opportunities. I'm not quite sure of the numbers, but I know some of the startups were like bought out by these existing companies. So that if you take a look at X-rays and you have to report manually, you have to spend a lot of time. So there was a period of time when they would actually record these reports and then send the recording to India and have them transcribe the report. So I think there are still some of the nicks and crooks that we can smooth out throughout the process, and that is the opportunity for startups. It requires more than a medical background. It requires creation, innovation, imagination, a little bit of an adventurous spirit. So we really invite people with dreams to take part in startups, especially medical startups, because we have already had a solid foundation. We have great semiconductors. We have a very good ICT sector. So we have a very solid technological support. Now we have a platform, and it is really great to build something from this platform. So thank you, our two panelists. And they talked about the startups of the development and process and future trend. Thank you.